So this project again is using the Arduino Mega 2560. This sketch is to help use the LCD display module. The LCD display module is good if you are wanting to convey messages to the user. For example, if you wanted to know if a sensor was working properly, you could convey the data collected by the sensor to the user via the LCD display. The display itself is liquid crystal, and you can see there's nothing on the screen right now. The brightness of the screen can be controlled with a potentiometer, which is going to increase or decrease a certain amount of resistance to a flow of electricity to the LCD crystal display module itself. Now, there's nothing there, and that's because this particular sketch that is loaded in the Arduino Mega is not programmed to actually send out a specific message. So I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to load the appropriate sketch, and you can see the display. So I have an appropriate sketch ready to load into the Arduino Mega. I'm just going to load it now. And what I'm hoping that it will do is the traditional hello world display that a lot of programmers, there we go, that a lot of programmers start off with. And it says hello world, and then below it, it has a timer counting down how many seconds. You can see I can change the brightness. There, you can read it if I can get that angle on there. Now this particular display has two rows that you can program the Arduino to write to. The first one is obviously saying hello world. The second one is obviously doing the counter. The first, if you want to write in the first row, you basically have to say I want to start at position 0, 0. So that's basically the beginning of the top row all the way in the top left. If you want to write on the bottom one, you would ask it to write at 1, 0. And then it's going to go down 1. And basically that's what the microcontroller is doing, is for the timer, it is putting the counter at position 1, 0. And you also want to tell the computer when you start how many rows and how many columns you want available. In this particular case, there's 16 columns and 2 rows. I'm just going to change this so I can have a different message. So what I've done is I've changed the message that is to be displayed by the microcontroller. What I was doing before is saying hello world and then doing a counter in seconds. But what I wanted to do instead is write the message time in milliseconds, and then have, instead of seconds, have it displaying the number of milliseconds that goes by. I did that because the liquid crystal display is set to have 16 characters that you can put on the screen. And I'm just going to reset this and start from 0. And as you can see, the actual line time in milliseconds takes up more space. So the display is going to drop, I guess, the last 4 characters. So it says time in millisec. And also I've changed the position of where the second row is actually going to begin its display. I was incorrect before when I said that if you wanted to print on the second row, you would select 1, 0. It's actually 0, 1. So they would be the 0 column on the first row. In this case, for the time, I put it at the 5th column on the first row, and it bumped it over a bit. Again, the LCD crystal display would be great for getting feedback if you're wanting to test to see whether sensors were working correctly. Say you were using some type of a distance sensor, you could actually measure out the distance between the sensor and the object, and then you could see if the sensor was working by creeping that object closer and closer to the sensor, and it would display the feedback on the liquid crystal display. And if it wasn't working, for example, you would be able to pick up perhaps you've made a mistake either in your code or in how you set up your microcontroller.